every time I peel through.
Yes, your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another double spending episode. Today, I've got a great one, a panel I did a couple of days ago. Second time with Kennedy Financial, Phil over there at Kennedy Financial, and second time with the fellas RL and Ernie. Great conversation. Didn't think we would be here, at least RL, Kennedy, and I didn't, as far as where the price of Bitcoin is. The first time we had this panel discussion, Bitcoin had just soared 3,000 points. We were all like, yeah, I was like, yep, the bottom is in. We're not going to see 7,400 again. Blah, 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 blah. But this panel, the second time on, was great. We discussed kind of why we're back where we are. And my opinions this go around align more with Bernie as far as Bitcoin and the state of Bitcoin. So it was a great conversation. Smart guys. And I want you guys to tune in. But you know the routine. Make sure you click the thumbs up. Losers, click the thumbs down and subscribe to this channel. And don't forget to click that notification bell to receive more videos like this.
Brought to you by the KF store. Plenty of items in there. I'm drinking from the KF mug right now. You can find that. You can also find all sorts of unique t-shirts, mugs, stickers, you name it. Go in there and check it out. We got the biggest short. We got the movie poster from the Bitcoin music video, and also the Bitcoin Fixes This coffee mug. So check it out, see what you got, and check out these guys too while we're at it. Fellas, what's happening? Good to see you again. We got RL in the top right, CB in the lower right, and Ernie in the lower left. Good to see you, gentlemen. We got to go back first real quick. I want to play a quick clip from the last time we were together.
As always,
this didn't age well.
KF store, plenty of items in there.
Hey, I'm hearing my voice in the background from one of you guys, just in case.
You can also find all sorts of...
Is that you, Ernie?
I don't know. Why would you be hearing me in the back?
Go in there.
No, I'm hearing my own voice in the background.
Biggest short. We got the movie poster from the Bitcoin music video, and also
We'll figure that out in a moment.
So, check it out.
Ernie's got like 9,000 screens over
Let
there.
me mute Ernie.
Check out these guys too while we're at it.
Just a picture in
All
back.
right.
What's happening? Good to see you again. We got
Dude, I don't know what's
RL
going
in the
on.
top right, CB in the lower right, and
Man.
Ernie.
Is that you, RL?
We got to go back first.
I don't
real
think
quick.
so. No, I don't have anything
I
else
want to
open.
play
Me either.
a clip from the last time we were
Dang.
together. This didn't age well. KF store, plenty of
We'll edit. We'll fix this and edit it all up. I don't know what's going on. Somebody's got the YouTube link open.
Is that you, Ernie?
Yeah, it's definitely not me.
Oh, why would you be hearing me in the back?
Go in there. Hear my own voice.
That stuff you see in the background, that's actually a picture.
From Bitcoin music
Huh.
video, and also
That's
figure that out in a moment.
Hold on.
Check it out.
Ernie's got like 9,000 screens
Let
over
me
there.
mute. All right, what's happening? Good to see
Let me
you
see here. Let's see who I can mute and fix this.
Yeah, there you go. That's how you do it.
RL.
Oh, it's
It's you, RL. Test.
RL is the culprit.
Yep.
Oh man,
It's all right. This is the risk we
Sabotage the
take
screen.
doing this stuff. It's okay. All right. So while we're getting the technical difficulties worked out, let's go back to the last time we had these gentlemen on. It was October 25th. That day we saw a big pump. Everybody was all excited. We went from, I don't know, like 60, what is this? 7,400, 7,500, and just boom, all of a sudden, biggest pump, 40%,
Super
all the way
bad
up to
connection.
9,600. It was quite a day. So we got the gentlemen on together, and this is what I asked together. A lot of people have been wrecked in the last 18 months, and we don't want to see that happen again. So,
Right.
CB, why don't we start with you? Where do you see things playing out right now?
That was for sure the bottom. Turn it up a little bit in our next cycle. Okay, I called bottom at 3,000, and I was firm on that. I'm calling bottom at 7,400. I'm firm on that. I just basically it was an inverted Bart Simpson that.
Okay, so CB called the bottom. I think RL and I both agreed with him that indeed the bottom was in.
Mm-hmm.
What about now? Here we are, less than a month later, and we're lower than we were before that pump.
I've been saying it all week. Very disappointed. Really started getting disappointed about the direction in the market at 83. When we breached 8,300, I'm like, what is going on? So then I finally started looking at the chart and realizing, wait a minute, this pump was all a facade. It was all like a FOMO. So it was no, and sometimes in trading, you can have a FOMO pump that initiates the bull. It kind of brings the bulls out, right? But that didn't happen, man. And so, markets are going to go back to where they were going to be before any type of FOMO and news like that. So yeah, we are where we are, and I do think we're near bottom though at this point.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. But pre-interview, I was talking with Ernie, and he has another point of view that I also think kind of sounds interesting, especially because if we go back to the 25th, 30 days, 3 weeks is an eternity in crypto. But President Xi was saying that China should seize opportunity to adopt blockchain. And what a coincidence, the price pumps, right? And now here it is less than a month later, and we're getting the same FUD again. China's going to crack down. So
yeah, it doesn't make sense. Oh, yeah.
Well, it looks like Ernie's frozen up. Let's go back to UCB.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because in my video today, I talked about we all know that they've banned crypto exchanges. This is nothing new. This has been since 2017. So I'm not too sure why this is being a headline again in the markets. So.
Yeah. All right, Ernie, we lost you for a second. We were talking about how, on the one hand, back on October 25th, President Xi was touting blockchain technology, and then here just 3 weeks later, more FUD came out. Actually, it's the opposite. China is banning exchanges, things like that. So what's your take?
Sure. Well, as you said, President Xi touted blockchain. Everyone took that as a positive for Bitcoin. The market jumped up. I think it was the third largest rise in Bitcoin history.
Mm-hmm.
And then no more than 2 days later, a member of the Communist Party came out and said that not to read too much into what President Xi says. Normally you would think that would get somebody sent to the gulag or something, right? But apparently that started to slide down, and it basically rolled over for the next couple of weeks, right? And then I guess it wasn't moving fast enough. They had to now ban certain exchanges. I think they closed the Binance office and some others. And that's taken us down another 800 points. I don't think they're done yet. I think that this is Bitcoin, in my view, is 100% manipulated by the Chinese and other Asian concerns. I don't think that retail traders or the normal market forces have no more than 5% effect on price movement. Tops.
Okay. RL, you joined me along with CB saying the bottom was in at the mid 7,000s. We've been proven wrong. We admit it here on KF. The market knows more than we do. Ernie was more circumspect back then. I don't think he said a price either way. Maybe right. As a result of his experience in trading, and also his belief that the Chinese are managing this market. But where do you stand right now?
Yeah, I actually don't think that we're pumping or dumping on news as much as we were, a few years ago. I don't know. I kind of thought that 7,400 or whatever it was last time we were on the show, and we saw that. We kind of all agreed, except for Ernie, like you said, that we would probably have seen the bottom. I kind of thought that was the bottom, but I honestly don't think we're going to go much further now. It's kind of like, would we hit maybe 6,900 or 6,800 yesterday or whatever? So maybe we test 68 again, but I just can't imagine anyone letting this thing go any lower, especially if it is, as manipulated as some people think. I just don't see it getting much lower than it is now, and I still pretty confident we're going to start out early next year in 5 figures.
Well, one point I want to make is that we are now 173 days away from Bitcoin's third halving. And the last time we were this close, the Mayer multiple was like 1.4, nearly 1.5. And today, after it fell off a cliff, it was down to like 0.72, which in that bull market, the 2015 to 2017 bull market,
Yeah, I
only
remember
occurred
that.
like on 5% of the days.
Mm-hmm.
So if Bitcoin keeps plummeting, I'm of the belief that maybe some of the naysayers could be right. And let me play devil's advocate. You know, if the price kept falling like this into Bitcoin's third halving, that would be awfully concerning, wouldn't it, CB?
Uh, yes. A little bit. But if you recall in our last video, guys, Ernie was, I think, more bullish to the upside when it came to the halving, right? I think he was more, and I'm like, hey, I don't know where it's going to go. I just think we're going to see about a 50% move up from wherever we are when you know the market starts pricing this in. So I just think that this halving will not be as impactful as it was with the prior ones. I think 50% increase from wherever we are roughly now will be the high for 2020.
My
Yeah, go
turn?
ahead, Ernie. I know you want to respond.
Yeah, I was having some problems, so I actually had to quit out of Safari completely and just demolish everything and come back in. Zoom, for whatever reason, has a very poor. It's unstable on my computer for whatever reason. But anyways, I am not bullish on anything on Bitcoin, quite frankly. I am extremely bearish to bewildered that people really have any kind of faith in this as a potential currency or asset that they can use in the future. I think that it is completely manipulated 100%, that the effect of retail traders is absolutely minuscule.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that 99% of all the activity that's going on is through whales, and most of them are coming out of Asia, and you can see that on all the transactions. I mean, that's not even disputable.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, you have China, who has the vast majority of the miners in the world. The ability to turn off their network at any time and completely disrupt and unsecure the network, and we just act like, oh, it's okay, they're good players, it's just Bitcoin, we'll all get over this. It almost sounds like all the other countries out there trying to put all the onus on Russia as if they're the big evil. They're not the big evil, although they're not good guys.
Right.
It's China. China is friggin' evil, and they're doing everything in their power to exert damage to this network.
Yeah, but I mean, you could have said that all along the way. Before you dropped off there, Ernie, I was saying that if you look back at the last halving, back on July 9th, 2016, if you look the same days prior, that put you at January 8th, 2016, we had a Mayer multiple of 1.49 that day. And there were lots of ups and downs between then and now, including taking it to $20,000. And if you look at where we are over the 200-day moving average, statistically, it just looks like we're going to go much higher. And the Chinese are probably just trying to smash out the weak hands right now before they pump the price to potentially a new all-time high. What do you think, RL?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on here. I think you were the one that I saw post this the other day. Litecoin, drawing up to the Litecoin halving, price rose around 240%. Was that you, Philip?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. So I think if you look at the history of this, we're gonna see these $2,000 or $3,000 swings. They're gonna be pretty common on the way up to new all-time high. So I think everyone just needs to take a deep breath in crypto and Bitcoin, because every Bitcoin is the king and everything follows Bitcoin. and just step back and just like zoom out on these charts, kind of like what we said last time. But every time I see one of these big dips, I mean, I'm pretty certain this is a bull market. I mean, we went 4x, I think, and then now we've seen a 50% drawback. I just have a feeling that this is going to be, we're going to be sitting here in a few months and we'll be easily 13, 14K. And I really think early next year, I'm not going to say, I still stand by pre-halving that we're going to hit new all-time highs. So you said 173 days to that. So I'm pretty confident, but as always, not a financial advisor. This is just purely, my opinion. Yeah, I like to throw that out there.
CB's got a chart up here. Let me see if
I just want to show you guys this candle here. That wick is a big indication of a bottom where we are right now. So I'm using that as an indication that the bottom is in for Bitcoin again, and also I've gone long with my algo here. So we're trying to pick the bottoms as well. But I mean, don't get it twisted. I'm upset.
Okay.
I'm upset that we've taken back all this.
Are we frozen again?
No, I don't think so. Oh,
it
maybe.
looks like a lot of people's portfolios are wrecked. Even Omar from Crypto's News.
But I was gonna say I made a lot of money in the last 4 days shorting. We were short. Why
didn't you tell me?
Hey man, you got to sign up for it. Hey. Gotta sign up.
But even from the bottom in late or early this year, before this thing really turned around in early February, we're still up $4,000, more than $4,000.
Yeah, we're still up, man. Yeah. We are. We're still up.
Just needs to relax a little bit, and I'm pretty confident.
There's no other asset class that has performed even year to date performed as like Bitcoin has. Exactly. So yeah, we're probably just a little spoiled, right, Ariel?
Right. I think, we have it pretty good in this market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just for posterity, let's pull that up. Year to date, Bitcoin up 90%.
I mean, that really puts it in perspective.
Tell me, yeah, where did we get that? And what other market do we get that, man?
Right. And even Litecoin post-halving and all the disaster there is still up 50%.
Even with the Federal Reserve repo, not QE4, bond purchasing, you call it whatever you want to call it. They couldn't even make a market do this. I don't think they're up. Are they up 90? No, they're up maybe 30%, 40% for the year, the Dow.
Yeah, and that was already after 9 years of an enormous pump. So
yeah,
to me that's just the blow off top. And if you look at it in terms of sound money, it's just at just radical levels. And I think if you also check the data, it's coming down in terms of gold. So from that standpoint, I think they've pushed that market as far as it can go. Real quick announcement, just so folks don't miss it, because maybe folks won't stick around until the end. Tuesday, we've got a interview on gold suppression with Trace Mayer, Chris Powell, and Bill Murphy. Those guys of GATA. Trace, obviously, of Bitcoin fame. We'll be talking about other markets that are potentially manipulated. Also, don't forget to give the KF podcast 5 stars. Many thanks to Mama Crypto for saying thank you. Super enjoying the array of content, interviews, so much available. Also, it was truly great spending time with Phil, John, Lisa, and Rebecca, recapping the Litecoin Summit event. Yep. Thank you to you, Michelle, as well. So, Ernie, you're back on. We had a question.
I think there's something going on here. They just don't want to hear what I have to say.
Yeah.
China doesn't, right?
Yeah,
you gotta stop talking about those Chinese, man. You gotta stop talking about them.
Well, holy speaking crap. Of Chinese, this is questions right up your alley, Ernie, and it's covered in your face. I'm sorry. I thought it was the CME group manipulating Bitcoin, not the Chinese directly. Thank you, SW.
How was the CME group manipulating Bitcoin? They are just a steward of the futures exchange.
Yeah, I don't go with that narrative either. I'm not with the CME. No, not yet.
Oh, but I do think that China and Asian actors used the CME futures contract as kind of a, I don't know, ploy to gin up the market, and then they shorted the hell out of it through the futures to again ingratiate themselves. But the CME doesn't have they just provide a product.
Cash settle.
Well, is this market in
There
danger
we go again.
of the same problems that gold suffers? Maybe not. Maybe you guys don't believe in the gold suppression methods through phony paper contracts. The three gentlemen that we'll have on Tuesday, they do. RL, what do you think? I mean, Bitcoin obviously provides more transparency through an open ledger. On the other hand, there's lots of allegations that synthetic Bitcoin is going to be created and they'll be able to smash the price that way. What are your thoughts?
That worries me just a little bit. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that. It's kind of developing. You're hearing a little bit of speculation about could these paper contracts take us down, since they're not physical delivery and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not really sure what to say. I don't really think it's going to be as impactful the way that the central banks hold the majority of the gold in the world, so it's a little bit easier for them to get away with manipulating gold. I think that's one of the main attributes of Bitcoin in particular is that it's decentralized. I don't really feel like they have the same stranglehold over it.
Yeah. So another thing we've witnessed over the last several weeks, CB, is, and I know it's kind of a bogus number, but it's the best we got, right? Is Bitcoin's dominance on coin market cap. And I know the Bitcoin maximalists will get upset with me for even bringing this up, but it is worth mentioning that it looks like this figure topped out on September 6th at 71%, and since then, down 5%. If we look at Bitcoin's dominance over time, obviously a lot of money was made in the alts in a short amount of time in early 2017 and throughout 2017. So I kind of wanted to get your reaction to that, CB.
Sure. Before we touch on that, I do want to kind of piggyback off of what RL was talking about as far as manipulation, because I think it's very critical that we understand this. I think Bitcoin will continue to be manipulated through various financial products that the Wall Street cabal will continue to roll out to attempt to suppress, and they'll be able to do that. However, this time around, they will not be able to stop the actual technology is what people should really focus on, meaning they can suppress the price all they want, but they can't freeze your wallet. They can't confiscate your wallet. They can't, do all those things that they've done in prior markets. They can't do that in this market. So I think that's what we should really be focusing on is the technology and the price. I mean, if you're a trader, that's cool. If you're a hodler, I mean, you should make money over time anyhow. But I'm just saying, like, the technology is what's the most important thing. As far as your question, I forgot it because I was rambling off.
Oh, Bitcoin dominance. Does that figure matter to you? Do you look at it?
Well, yeah, it does. It does matter. It does. It shows it's a definite negative correlation with the dominance of Bitcoin versus altcoin price appreciation. So there's a direct correlation with that. So it does matter if you're looking to exploit and make money in the altcoins, you want to keep an eye out on that for sure.
Ernie, we had lost you for a second, but just to bring you up to speed, one of the figures that made both CB and RL laugh is the fact that Bitcoin's still up 90% year to date, and even garbage like Bitcoin Cash up 27%, and Litecoin, one of my near and dear favorites, up 50%, even despite crashing after its halving. So that's still some good news, right? I mean, where are you going to get gains like that in other markets?
Oh, I love it because I love to trade it. I have a signal service that is based on Bitcoin, and we're doing fantastic.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. RL, I think we lost Ernie again. I'm sorry. RL, I'll take it to you. We got other news out in the last 24 hours that I find pretty interesting because a lot of people say, hey, look, if you want governments to track you, then you should use cryptocurrency because it's an open ledger. And there's been stories about, hey, drug dealers from 2011 got nabbed because they have these transactions that are permanent. And companies kind of developed out of that that system. Chainalysis was one of them, and they reportedly have cut 39 jobs, aiming to boost profit margins, and it happens simultaneously around I guess, more robust effects of coin mixing sites and stuff like that, which I'm not familiar with. So I wanted to get both your take and CB's take on that.
Yeah, I actually think that privacy coins are going to be the future. Not that Bitcoin will give up that #1 spot, but I'm hoping that Litecoin implements Mimblewimble. Mimblewimble is one of the protocols that allows for these mixtures that basically happen inside the wallet or inside the transactions, peer to peer. So you have Grand, Beam, one that I was interested in this summer, Epic Cash. They all use the Mimblewimble protocol. And I think this is like the future of crypto, because I know that a story came out last week about, whether or not these were as private as we thought. But this is sort of like why I got into crypto in the beginning, because I actually thought Bitcoin, the narrative around it in the first few years was that, Bitcoin was pretty private. And now we know it's completely the opposite. You can track every single thing you do. But I think that's really important for, emerging markets. Like if you want to, my goal in this is to spread free markets across the world. And I think, privacy coins are really a good way to do that. Lift people out of poverty across the world. People, it's a little bit easier for them, in emerging markets to do commerce. And I think that'll definitely be big in the next 10 years, the second decade of this technology.
Ernie, you got cut off. I apologize there. We were talking about the fact that Chainalysis is having to cut jobs in the midst of CoinJoin and coin mixing sites becoming more popular, ways for people to potentially hide the origin or destination of their Bitcoin. Do you have a personal take on that?
All I can say is right now I don't understand what the hell's going on here.
He's under attack.
Yeah.
The Chinese,
I
President
have a
Xi.
super fast connection here,
That's crazy.
and it just doesn't want to connect. But in terms of Bitcoin dominance, I think that it's dominant now because they can't extract any favor from people out of the altcoins. The altcoins are dropping like flies. Smaller businesses, ideas that go down a rabbit hole are going nowhere. Maybe there'll be some legitimate coins or projects that come out of all of this, but
very few
right now. Bitcoin, I don't see how anybody can feel like this is a stable medium for doing anything other than speculation. I really don't. And I love it for that. Let me tell you, I love it because I can make a lot of money off of it. But other than that, it is useless. I hate it when I have to take payments in Bitcoin, because what I have to do is as soon as I get the payment, I have to turn it into useless fiat as fast as I can in order to stabilize that payment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
how can you possibly use that for any kind of transaction?
Well, CB, this is nascent technology. I mean, the whole market cap as of today is under 200 billion. Bitcoin comprises 130 billion of that. I mean, this is like a dinghy in the ocean.
Is almost as much as worth as much as his whole market cap.
Yeah. So it's like a dinghy in the ocean of financial assets. And isn't really that what we're seeing? I mean, it's not necessarily as important to look at the price of a Bitcoin at $1,700, but more the market cap overall and just how small it is in relation to everything else.
I guess, but it's like the chicken or in the egg. Like, which comes first? Do we get stability to get people into the market, or do we get people in the market to get stability?
Yeah.
Like, which is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It definitely is not a means of it's just a speculation right now. It will be an asset in the future, I believe. When? I have no clue. Maybe after this next halving, we'll see more stability out of the price of Bitcoin. But I don't know, man. It's definitely, I agree with Ernie on that one. It's pure speculation. Nothing more, nothing less. It's slow as hell. It's not scalable. But
if you guys would have done if you would have done commerce in 2009 in Bitcoin and held it, you're up 700 million%. So I don't I think it's still a pretty good asset to hang on to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, you can't really. I don't know if I would use that particular example because I mean that was the beginning. Like, how many people were there? We got to look at now where there are more participants in the market. I mean, I don't even know right now. It's not even really a good hedge because it's correlated with the markets. The markets go down, equity markets go down, it goes down with it. Markets go up,
You think
Bitcoin
it's
goes
correlated?
up. I said I don't think it is. I don't think there's any correlation. Yeah, so I can't even use the hedge pitch on that one. The sales pitch of it's a hedge against traditional markets. It's not that right now either. So maybe it is because we're so early in this.
We're 11 years in, man.
Well, we almost hit $1 million market cap in 2017, or $1 trillion market cap in 2017. Pretty certain heading into next year, this time we'll probably be over $1 trillion.
Yeah, and when it got there, you saw what happened. Fees went through the roof.
Yeah, but there's been innovations. I got to take Bitcoin's side on this. They scale. They came up with Lightning Networks. I mean,
Lightning Network. That's bullshit.
It doesn't work, man.
Sorry,
doesn't work.
I haven't had any trouble with Lightning Network.
Yeah, no one using it.
All that Lightning Network is an invitation for banks. It's hey, Bitcoin doesn't work, so let's use Bitcoin fast and light.
I mean, I'd rather settle everything on chain, but if you want to do a lot of transactions, Lightning Network does work. But there are alternatives.
No one's using it. No one's using Lightning Network. So you put more people on there to use it, and you'll see how fast it falls apart. And people are someone lost like I don't know how many
$30,000 the last.
Was it 3,000? I thought it was more than that. 30,000. Yeah, last week or a week and a half ago because it's not ready at all. It's nowhere near ready, and it's not the proper way to scale. You don't scale a protocol by not even it's not like Lightning Network was built on top of Bitcoin. It's like a side thing. It's not even a protocol layer 1, like Bitcoin being protocol layer 0. Lightning is not layer 1. Would you agree with that, Ernie?
Oh yeah, and yeah. It requires liquidity pools in order to work because no individual has enough money to be able to put into escrow to make their connections big enough to be useful. So the only way that can happen is you need big mammoth organizations with lots and lots of coin to create liquidity pools. Well, guess what that's called? It's called a bank.
We don't know for certain whether or not it'll meet.
The math doesn't work.
Well, we don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see.
We do. It's been proven.
What'd you say?
It's been proven. The network connections, the number of network connections it takes in order to have a sufficient network so that you can reach a sufficient number of people with ease is impossible.
Yeah, Ariel, I gotta side with Ernie on this one, buddy. I'm sorry, man.
We'll know in less than 12 months whether you guys who's right or who's wrong. We'll see. Well, that gives rise to the altcoins utility if you are right. So
Bitcoin isn't perfect. We all know that, but even less perfect than Bitcoin is the Federal Reserve. The Fed now adding even more to its balance sheet, doing a hard right turn with repos and whatever underhanded QE they're doing. Necessity is the mother of invention. It's not a coincidence. Yes. Bitcoin came out 11 years ago recently with the white paper, and then we'll be celebrating proof of keys here on January 3rd. So CB, I mean, despite all of Bitcoin's problems, it does offer an enormous solution in this world where you can't really trust anybody.
Ernie and I are being very critical about Bitcoin, and you should be. That doesn't mean, or I can only speak for myself, that doesn't mean that Bitcoin isn't a technological leap when it comes to money and how we will use money in the future. It is. So I don't want people to think that's not the case. I'm just just being real and just being very critical about where we are with Bitcoin right now. But yes, it's much better than what the Federal Reserve in cartel has done and how they've stolen wealth from us over the last 100 and something years, 200 years. So yeah, this is better. We'll see. But what I'm, and I want everyone else to kind of chime in. What are your thoughts about these central banks creating their own cryptocurrencies? I think that's the next point that they're going to try to do to really, I think, confuse the public. The ones that don't understand, they're gonna throw these fiat currency cryptos out to them, and so that's what we need to educate people about.
What do you think, Ernie? Will people buy that?
Yeah, I don't think any bank is going to develop a coin that's going to reach the same prominence as Bitcoin. They might, I mean, but Ripple tried it and it didn't work. They tried to go sort of the end around and become part of the International Bank Transfers Network, which was a total pipe dream, by the way.
Yep, I agree.
I've been working with banks for 30 years, more than
They're not
30
going to
years,
use
and
some
using
third
and
party.
implementing Swift and other places. And there's no friggin' way they can break into that
No.
business. It's just not going to happen.
I agree.
And you talk about the technology. Here we are. We like Bitcoin because we can give ourselves over to the technology, to the AI. Just give yourself over to it, right? And it will solve all your problems. Except that they don't count on bad players like China being able to put a big monkey wrench into it. Come on.
What's your reaction, RL?
I've been waiting for FedCoin for a while. It doesn't have any of the property. It won't have any of the properties that Bitcoin has. The immutability, decentralized nature of it.
But do the people care? RL, do the people care?
I'm on board with you there. That's why we're on this show tonight, educating the masses, right? So
yeah,
our job to get out there and make sure everybody knows the difference, because
right.
I actually wrote about this in my books. It's going to be very easy to co-op people that have no idea what a cryptocurrency is.
Right.
So sneaking into every conversation you can is basically what I'm saying. Educate as many people as you possibly can.
All right. One thing I want to bring up real quick. It's off topic a little bit, but I think it's relevant because this show is about sound money, free markets, and real economics, and that's Austrian economics, for those that don't know. We've got a company out there that, to me, personally, in my humble opinion, is a malinvestment. It has serious misallocation of resources, and the tone of the top isn't very healthy. It's experienced a high turnover rate in the accounting department, especially with the chief accounting officers. And that's a little company run by this guy, Elon Musk, unveiling his Cybertruck. And
my God.
this was like the greatest corporate failure I think I've ever witnessed in my whole life. So let's end the show there with getting each of your thoughts on how that went down today or yesterday or whenever it was. CB, what's your thought?
It's funny you bring this up. I reported on this morning, my 2 cents video, and I focus on the actual product itself. But in the past, I've talked about Tesla and how corrupt and how horrible that man Tesla is. Enron 2.0.
Yeah, it
is. I mean, it's just so crazy. So the product, it looked horrible. I've never seen anything that looked worse. Elon Musk, a genius. He is a genius. But Tesla, man, that's Enron 2.0. It's going to end badly. And a lot of people are still holding that bag. I know a lot of shorts are on it, but it's going to end badly, man.
Ernie?
I want one. I live in an area where I can't have a regular car. It has to be an all-wheel drive vehicle, and I don't really go very far. I don't work. I don't work for anybody else. I work for myself. I work out of my home. So does my wife, and so we don't really have a need for any kind of range. I've got a lot of land here. I could construct, maybe an acre's worth of solar panels. and I'd be all set. It's ugly as sin. Kind
Yeah.
of looks like the original DeLorean just kind of bulked up on steroids or something, and then I don't know what you would call it. But it is kind of cool. I would buy one.
Someone on Twitter showed a doorstop. It said it looked like
Yeah.
the little gray doorstop.
Yeah, the problem with Tesla is that they have horrible quality control. Horrible. They're the worst.
I hear. Yeah.
So
All right.
that's the only problem that I see.
RL, what's your take?
Yeah, bullish Bitcoin, bearish anything Elon Musk does. He's probably the most subsidized man in the history of the United States. And if he had to really compete on a free market, he would be, I don't know what he'd be doing. He'd be doing something a lot less. He wouldn't be in the public eye. Let's just put it like that. If he had to fall on his own devices, I don't think he would be making vehicles for sure, shooting rockets into the sky or anything like that. So
I wouldn't bet
I'm a big
against them.
fan of subsidized vehicles.
I wouldn't bet against them. I think that the guy like CB was saying, the guy's a genius, or maybe RL said it, whatever. He's a genius. There's no doubt. He has drive. He wants to try new things, and he's doing it. I mean, the
government money.
Yeah.
Who cares?
He's failed many times.
If he can figure out how to do that, all the more power to him. That's what
that's
it's all
where
about.
money that's where government money should be subsidizing stuff like that.
Fascism, really, the merger of state and corporate power.
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, I don't see him as one of those type though. He doesn't seem like the type that's pro-government.
He's got hundreds of billions of dollars in subsidies. I don't trust him at all.
I hear you.
Well, anybody with hundreds of billions of dollars we don't trust. I say, let him do whatever the hell he wants. He's sparking innovation. He's inspiring all sorts of other people and other, to do the same thing. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, we got JM saying he'd rather spend the $50K on Bitcoin. I would tend to agree. But the reason I bring it up, and maybe you gentlemen don't agree, RL, I think you share a lot of my beliefs, but the two things, or the thing that Bitcoin and Elon Musk both have in common, is they have risen to power in an artificially low interest rate environment. So we don't know if we had real free market capitalism, and if Elon wasn't the recipient of newly minted Federal Reserve notes courtesy of the U.S. government, if indeed his companies would be successful. So that's my only point there. And maybe looking back, when we do hit a recession, we will see that the unveiling of the Cybertruck will mark a tipping point in the market's belief that this gentleman only can win and never lose. We'll
Cybertruck is the peak of the market. That's peak market when that came out. That's our indication.
Right. All right. So final word, gentlemen. What do you want to say? How do you want to end the night? You go first, CB.
I mean, I think again, going back to Bitcoin, I think the bottom is in again. Don't take my word for it. You see, I was wrong before, so that's just my opinion, and we'll see where we go from here. But I made good money on the way down for sure, so I'm not complaining.
All right, Ernie, what about you?
Yeah, I don't think the bottom's in. I think we're going down to about 3,000. Then we're going to go through a long period of a very large, wide range, and then we'll hit another bubble, and then we'll start the whole thing over again. And sooner or later, enough people will be tired enough, because it's now gotten big enough where it's touching enough people and hurt enough people, and they've heard enough bad stuff that it's probably going to keep on bouncing that way for a long time. Maybe something will come of it. And I want one of those Cybertrucks. I would like to have it with a skin that is sort of chameleon-like, so that you could push a button, it would change color or blend in with the background. That's what I want. All
right. We'll look for you to show that off next time we all get together. RL, what about you? What's your final word?
I'm sticking with my thoughts. I think we're going to start out next year 5 figures and then work our way up. You're going to see more of these $2,000 or $3,000 drawbacks on the way up to new all-time highs in the next 173 days. I'm sticking with it. So I'm going to ride that out till the end.
I'm in agreement with RL. I'm long Bitcoin. I think we're going to see a new all-time high. Maybe not necessarily by the halving, but sometime after in 2020. And by 2021, I think it's going to go gangbusters. And we potentially will just have a rip your face off rally that just won't even make sense, as much as this pullback hasn't made sense. So I'm still long Bitcoin, and I am short Tesla.
Yeah.
I would encourage everyone to follow David Einhorn on Twitter, just
Smart
trolling
guy.
him every day. You can follow him at David EIN. It's like you're watching kind of an Enron like battle in real time.
He's
So,
he's an activist, right? That's the activist guy.
that's him.
Yeah, he's short. He's short Tesla, I think.
Yeah, hopefully he does better than Bill Ackman did there on Herbalife.
Herbalife. Yeah, right. All right, people. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and click that bell. Also, don't forget to check out Kennedy Financial's channel. Phil over there, great content. Make sure you support him as well. It's your boy Crypto Blood. I'm out of here.
Immaculate. You see